allocated. We will still have close to $700,000 remaining in those funds. We get annual settlement payments in every year, but we'll still have some funds left.
There's no required time frame on when to disperse of those?
No, just for the purpose of combating the crisis. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Anything else?
Nope.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 23 is also, Ms. Cornett, resolution amended the budget to correct a position title.
Yes, in the FY25 budget request for upgrade positions, I mistakenly called one of the upgrades the court administrative assistant, and technically the name should be administrative assistant senior. The dollars don't change, it's just we wanted for the record to have the right position title on there for human resources.
Any questions for Ms. Cornett on that change? And item 24 is amending the budget related to employee insurance rates.
Yes, so this past year, we use an actuary that helps us know how many dollars need to be funded in the internal service fund to pay for health insurance, because as you know, we have a self-insured fund. And this year, from last year to this year, the actuarial estimate increased that contribution by 17%, which is very large. As you might know, the city carries 80% of those costs. The employees carried the other 20%, and if they have a wellness incentive, they can reduce that to 15%. But even the 15% share, in some cases, caused more than $50 a month increase for employees. So this is a budget amendment request for the city to help bear part of that cost, and we are hoping that with some changes to our stop loss and experience actual versus what the estimates are for this year, that we won't have as much of an increase and burden placed on employees for that cost. So the amount of the budget amendment is a little over $140,000 in total.
Any questions for Ms. Cornett on that item? And then finally, for Jennifer, number 25, a resolution accepting a bid.
Yes. So this is a bid. This is a bid for custom and printed apparel for the city. And the lowest bidder was Capri Signs and Graphics. They are a Hoover City-owned business, and they came in as the lowest bidder, and that is the recommended award winner. And so we would like to have authorization for the mayor to execute the agreement accordingly.
Any questions on that item? Item 26, Mr. Justin is here. Rejecting the lowest bid and accepting a bid for drainage improvements.
Hi, good evening. Yes, this item is to award bid 24-017 for the drainage improvements along Savoy Street. The bids were opened September 11th here in City Hall, and we received 5 bids, and after staff reviewed, we recommend awarding the bid to Gillespie Construction, LLC, who was the most responsible bidder in the amount of $143,588.00. The project is located adjacent to 2308 and 2309 Savoy Street, and will include replacing the damaged culvert that's running under that street. The funding was approved during the fiscal year 2024, and so no additional resources will be required. And the contractor will have 60 days to complete the project, and we anticipate starting in late October.
Any questions for that item? Very well prepared and thorough, sir. Thank you very much. And Ms. Moore is here for item 27, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Motorola Solutions for annual maintenance agreement.
Yes, Council, this is annual maintenance for the public safety radio system, and it was budgeted, so it's for the system itself. Any questions?
Nothing? No questions?
Thank you.
Ms. Moore. Item 28 is a resolution naming a public drive located on the property of Aldridge Garden. So from Lorna Road all the way to the Aldridge House, the council will consider declaring that a public street and naming it on Monday night. Any questions about that? Very well, Mr. Martin. Come on down for our first readings, beginning with item 29, a resolution granting conditional use approval for an indoor golf venue.
Yes, sir. We have a business desiring to locate at 5844 Elsie Road in the Knox Square commercial sector. And this particular business is an indoor recreational golf venue, which will offer on-premise food and alcohol sales. The Planning Commission reviewed this case at their September meeting and recommends approval of this conditional use contingent on the following. One, that the business will offer food service in keeping with the food service restaurant use classification in the zoning ordinance should alcoholic beverages be provided. And secondly, the business shall cease operations at 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and midnight Friday through Saturday. The developer of this business was agreeable to these items at the Planning Commission meeting, and do also want to note that the comprehensive plan supports commercial development at this location.
It's a first reading only. We'll have here a second reading at the second meeting in October. Any questions for Mr. Martin tonight on that? Item 30 is also a first reading for an ordinance change for property at 3951 South Shades Crest Road. Zoning change.
Yes, this is recently annexed property. The Planning Commission considered the zoning of the property at their meeting last month and recommend an R1 single-family residential zoning district. That would be in keeping both with the comprehensive plan and the zoning pattern in the vicinity.
Any questions on that item? And then finally, 31 for Mr. Martin is another zoning case at 2308 Old Rocky Ridge.
Yes, sir. This too is a recently annexed piece of property off of Old Rocky Ridge Road, just to the east of I-65 and the 459 on-ramp. The Planning Commission considered this case and recommended that an R1 single-family zoning designation be given to this property. That particular zoning is in keeping with the comprehensive plan and the zoning pattern in the vicinity.
Any questions on that item for Mr. Martin? And finally, number 32. Mr. Martin, stay close. We want to talk afterwards about an unrelated topic. All right. Please. Item 32 is an ordinance regarding repealing a previous ordinance for sales and use tax.
Yes, this is a request to amend the previous ordinance related to the reduction of the city's portion of grocery tax. The original ordinance identified a rate reduction from 3.5% to 3%, which was based on our interpretation that the city could reduce its tax up to 25%. But in the implementation process, we learned that it had to be a full 25% reduction. So it was an either-or option, either keep it as is or reduce it by the full 25% with nothing in between. So this ordinance would amend the previous one back to the original rate of 3.5.
Any questions on that item? And that's just a first reading.
So, Ms. Cornett, so no matter what, we've missed that time frame based on state law?
For implementing, yes.
Okay.
Yes. I believe it was a 60 days before year end that had to be implemented. So the ordinance could not be enacted because it didn't comply with state law's interpretation of that. And it's my understanding also that the state was not able to reduce its portion of grocery tax either. I'm not sure that anyone did.
I saw a note from Councilor Middlebrooks that suggested that there was a problem with the way that the statute is worded in terms of when your financials have to come in order to prove that you met the growth standard in order to be able to take advantage of the opportunity. So
Right.
I do understand that some of our representatives are going to work on making a change so that we can look at that again in the future.
Yes.
Any other questions? Thank you. All right, brings us to the end of our agenda. We're adjourned. Thank y'all. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Chief. I told you. Remind me, you did a good job of that. Sorry, I knew I'd forget you.
Council, I spoke with a friend of mine who's a truck driver, lives in North Carolina. And after talking with him, spoke with Mayor Mercado. And tonight, within the next hour, we're going to have an 18-wheeler trailer delivered to the training center. And going to get with Melanie Posey, Chief Bentley, myself, and we'll be getting out to all our constituents tomorrow that we're going to be taking donations for things that can go back to North Carolina, especially that Asheville area. So he will, it doesn't matter how many trailers we fill, he'll come pick them up, keep delivering empty ones, and deliver them at no charge to North Carolina. So very, very good guy. And again, hopefully our citizens will, they usually do. I'm sure they'll fill them up. So just wanted you to be aware of it.